the Prophet ﷺ said that the best of people is a learned believer. If he's needed, he benefits, and if people neglect him, أغنى نفسه, he's self-sufficient. He doesn't need people. So this is the benefit. And then he says the people closest to the prophets are the people of knowledge and jihad, because they direct people to this knowledge. And the reason why he also will mention that يُوزَنُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ مِدَادَ الْعُلَمَاء بِدَمِ الشُّهَدَاء, that the blood, the ink of the scholars is weighed with the blood of the martyrs. And even though that hadith has some problems, it's also a statement that Sahaba made. And the meaning is sound because the mujahid his blood is spilt to defend what the scholar is doing. Knowledge is why the mujahid is fighting. The mujahid is striving to protect an environment where people can learn about their Lord and practice that knowledge. And that's why jihad is a means, but knowledge is an end. Knowledge of Allah is an end. And an end is over means. Everybody acknowledges that who has intellect. There's a very important section where he talks about the excellence of teaching, and then he says that the Prophet ﷺ once came into a masjid and he saw one group was doing dhikr, like supplicating and remembering Allah together, and another group was learning knowledge. And he said he sat with those. He didn't condemn the others, which is important, and he sat with those. One of the things that some modern people say is they look at that hadith as if he's denigrating the other group. He's not. But he's saying, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ مُعَلِّمًا, I was sent to teach. That's my purpose, is to teach you. And part of the teaching is that it will result in that practice. But you have to learn the teaching before you can do the practice. And I was sent to teach you that, so that you could do that. And this is also in the famous tradition where Omar saw a man in a masjid and he said to him, what are you doing? And he said, I'm remembering Allah. And he said, who takes care of you? And he said, my brother. And he said, your brother's better than you. And then he left. Now people will say, oh, he was denigrating him. No, he was teaching him to beware of ujub. Because he could be in the masjid, his brother's out in the souk, in the market, and he thinks that he's better than his brother. But his brother's getting the reward for everything that he does, because he's the one enabling him. And that's why Umar ibn Abdul Aziz said, be a scholar, a teacher, a learner, or somebody who helps them, facilitates the process. And then in another one it said, or one who just loves them. But don't be anybody else, because you'll perish. So that aspect is very important, the importance of learning and setting out for knowledge. But one of the things that he says constantly is that it is knowledge that makes us human. This is where the insaniya comes from, and he uses that word, insaniya. He says, without knowledge, we are like baha'im. We're like the beasts. It is knowledge that elevates us into the realm of insaniya. And then he mentions that the first step of learning is silence and listening, and then retention, and then practice, and then teaching. That you have to learn in a certain order. And then he gives us the evidence for the excellence of knowledge from reason. After he tells you what Allah said, what the Prophet ﷺ said, what the scholars have said, he gives you evidence of the excellence. And he tells us that knowledge is better than any other thing because of what's called the ziyada. He says that fadl, when you say al-ilmu afdalu min ghayrihi, knowledge is better than anything else. He says the fadl is ziyada. It's extra, it's what's extra. And he said when we say that the horse is better than the mule, both of them are beasts of burden, they can carry. But the horse has extra qualities. It can be used in war and it's more beautiful. So he's saying that that's why we would say the horse is better, because of what's extra in it. And so he says knowledge is better, and he tells why. He said that a precious thing or desired object may be any of three categories: what's sought as a means to an end, what's sought for its own intrinsic value, and then what's sought for both. as a means and an end. And so knowledge is a means and an end. And there are aspects of knowledge that are clearly means, like the Arabic language is a means to understanding knowledge. And then he says that happiness in the hereafter and the ecstasy of witnessing the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are sought for their own intrinsic reason. That's their own intrinsic value. And that people are naturally disposed to honor their scholars.